Okay, moving on to kind of new platforms. I mean, obviously the news from that fruit company in Cupertino, which Nokia likes to talk about, was pretty big last couple of weeks ago with the iPad. Is this going to save the print media industry, or is it just going to be another platform? Helen, why don't you start with variety?
I don't think it can save the print industry. I don't think anything can save any industry, because consumers ultimately will decide what they want to consume, when and how. I think the iPad is interesting. I'm very fascinated by the Kindle and the Sony e-readers and all the rest of it, and to see what the uptake is actually going to be like, and obviously we can't tell until they actually go on the market. Now, I live in London and I have seen a few e-readers in the wild and a few Kindles being read on the tube, and I think that's kind of interesting. There are some business models there, but they're kind of the same. It's just people don't think about, oh, I'm looking at the news on my iPad today. They're looking at the news. The fact that one day it's on the telly, another day it's in a newspaper because they picked a free one up on the tube, or it's on their phone, or it's on an iPad. It's just the news, and the relationship is with the BBC or the FT or the Daily Mail, or whatever the brand happens to be. And it's just another way of accessing that information and that kind of content. But
part of the difference is not just the consumer experience, but the opportunity to introduce micropayments, which is the kind of the promise to the publishing community that Apple are going to be doing. In other words, doing the same thing that they did to the music industry with iTunes, to enfranchise their users to start paying for content.
Yeah, I've never used iTunes, so...
Okay. Steve, why don't you tackle that?
I see the iPad as a device that people share in their living room and they pass around, and they're watching television and they want to find out more about that program or that TV star or that movie. But it's because you don't really pass a phone around very much because it's such a personal device, but I think the iPad is going to be more of a social device. But that's not necessarily great for Apple, because every family of two adults and two children is going to buy like one, plus the Gujarati, of course, so that's not great for volume. So I think it's going to be smaller volume than the iPhone, but very interesting.
Right. Chris?
I think I'd answer that question along two lines. I think Apple will have to do the fantastic job that they've done on iPhone and iPod Touch with the iPad for it to get significant consumer uptake. I think that the question of how significant a play will it be in not resurrecting, but certainly providing a strong platform for publishers. The question of what does it offer to publishers, I think it offers them an unbelievable opportunity to reinvent their core proposition. That comes with, what is a magazine, what is a newspaper, what is a TV channel, what is a travel guide, what is a coffee table book. I think you get to totally reinvent that proposition using this new platform. I think you also get to experiment in really interesting ways with new business models around subscription, around micropayments, etc. And I think the two things will come together potentially in a really strong way, because we've seen it. I don't know if you guys have monitored this, but when last did you see an Apple TV commercial that wasn't about apps? That was about the phone calling features of the phone, or email, or the calendar. It's been all about apps driving sales, and I think we'll probably find the same thing with the iPad. It'll be about the services that are offered by developers and creative people that will really drive that take-up. And if Apple can repeat the job that they've done with iPhone and iPod Touch, I think it stands a really, really good opportunity of being something that creates a new media consumption experience. I should never say the word consumption, but...
As a consumer, I love magazines. I love the paper. I love going to WH Smith, picking which one to buy, having a magazine in front of me with a set of content that was chosen by an editor with style that I can take away, put on my shelf, give to a friend. I don't want that to go away. I'll get extra things from something like an iPad, but it's not going to replace my magazine fix, I don't think. And I'm not sure if it will replace anybody else's either.
What about your love of vinyl?
And that's in the attic now.
Vinyl is actually increasing for the first time for many, many years now. So
yeah, it took a while. I put on vinyl for a while before I went in the attic. So maybe I'll part my magazines eventually, but I just don't see it happening in the short term.
Okay,
I've just got one thing to add. One of my fears around this micropayments thing, and particularly around subscriptions, is that we've been there before, or been here before, in the mobile world with dodgy ringtones and dodgy games and nasty subscription services that you get locked into all sorts of stuff. And I never want to see that happen again. We still see some dodgy ads and what have you, but I hope, you know, we're getting rid of that side of the mobile business being quite so deceitful. And my fear is that because this is so easy, people might think they've got a get-rich-quick scheme here and might try some similar. They're not quite scams because they are legal, but they're just not very nice. I can't think of a better way to describe them, so I have a slight fear of that.